We've talked about with Coach Rhodes this year about you always want really good measuring sticks to see where you're at, where you ultimately will get to the conference tournament. Well, the ultimate measuring stick is this weekend with nationally ranked Indiana State coming to Carbondale, which will make for a great environment with 3 night games this weekend at Itchy Jones Stadium. And, of course, the Salukis coming off a really good weekend against the Belmont Bruins. Here to talk about it all is the head coach, Lance Rhodes. What did you like so much about what you were able to accomplish in Nashville, especially when you factor in you knew going into it that it was going to be somewhat strategic in how you were going to structure your pitching, and you find a way to win all 3 games?
Yeah, I think the key for the weekend was just guys stepping up. And, anytime you go into a weekend and you don't have your typical Friday guy throwing, your typical Saturday guy throwing, sometimes that can just be a gut punch before you even get to the park. And I think our guys responded really well as far as, they just showed up with an attitude of, we didn't feel sorry for ourselves. We went out there and we kind of pieced it together. We talked about we needed somebody to step up big. Obviously, Ben Reif did that on the second game as far as just showing up and, getting into, I think, the 6th inning. And, we'll probably need something like that again this weekend. We'll need somebody to step up and give us some big innings. And, but it was nice to see us it was a team collective effort. I mean, there were a lot of hits spread throughout our lineup. Wasn't necessarily just one person, even though there was a couple people that had some big weekends. I thought we played solid defense for the majority of the weekend as well. It was just kind of a good team collective effort. And, again, hopefully we can carry that over to another weekend coming up here.
You mentioned Ben and his effort that he gave you over the weekend, but you look at your pitching staff as a whole. When you count the midweek game against Western Illinois, I think you had 5 pitchers, Coach Rhodes, that either made multiple appearances, pitched more than 3 innings, and had a sub 1.8 ERA, which outstanding and no doubt the best stretch of baseball I feel like they've had all year. Outside of just Ben, whether it was Cole, Shane Wilhelm, who you put into games. Multiple different. Anthony Prawn named to the Stopper of the Year watch list this week. What have you enjoyed most to see those guys have what was by far their most successful week?
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys are really starting to settle into kind of where they know they fit into, what type of batters they're going to face, left-handed, right-handed. And we've kind of just been going with a lot of matchups and just trying to strategically put guys in the best situation to succeed. And with that, they've been getting consistent work. With the consistent work, their performance has kind of consistently been there. And, I think they had a really good stretch. I think where, probably it kind of caught up to us was on Tuesday. We just kind of running on fumes. We were trying to sneak through that game, but just trying to limit pitch counts and things like that. And we really just needed to score on Tuesday because we knew that on the pitching side of it, we were so far maxed out on some of the innings and pitches that we have thrown for over, a week and a half span there. So, but we'll be fully rested to go this weekend. We'll kind of be in the same boat where we're kind of mixing and matching and trying to get through in certain situations with matching up and things like that. But I feel like we're in a good spot. I think our pitchers are in a good, mind frame. I think they believe that they're going to get people out. And, if you look at the numbers from a conference standpoint, our pitchers have been throwing the ball really well. I think we're right behind Indiana State on the pitching side of it. So a lot of credit goes to our pitching staff for what they've done.
Of course, as we hinted at, you knew you were going to be without Al and Mike going into last weekend. You needed other guys to really rise to the occasion. Just how are those guys doing since last week?
Yeah, I think, Al's he picked up a ball for the first time yesterday. He threw lightly without any discomfort. So, again, he won't be available this weekend. But, hopefully it starts to feel better over the next week and get a little more intensity with his throws. And, maybe next weekend he can be used for, a small amount of innings. Mike's going to be available this weekend. To what extent, I'm not really sure. I know he got off the mound on Tuesday for the first time. Felt good, responded well, felt good on Wednesday. So, Again, how many innings will we get out of him? That's a little unknown, but he will be used over the weekend.
Can you describe the tough dynamic it can be in this time of year of when you're in your shoes of, look, you want Al, you want Mike, you want as many people as you can have fresh and ready to go to win whatever series, whether you're playing a nationally ranked team at Indiana State this weekend or just another Valley team, because all these series are important. But also, you want to make sure that you can be healthy at the most important time of the year, which is going to be when you get to May and that conference tournament is really right around the corner. Is it a difficult dynamic at all, or is it, you're always going to have the health and safety concern of your player first and foremost, but just the challenges of how you try to navigate it and also make sure everybody's aware of what their roles can be?
Yeah, I think the toughest part about it right now is like we're in that little part of the tournament seeding to where you potentially got a chance to get a bye or you potentially don't. I mean, everybody's so clumped in right there with the standings, and so you feel like every game is so important because, to be able to play one less game in the conference tournament is a big deal. And, so obviously you want all your pieces available in order to give yourself an opportunity to get that bye. But at the same time, if you're looking at it and you're like, man, if we run them out there too early and they really hurt themselves, then all of a sudden we might not even have them for the conference tournament. So it's just trying to find that balance of getting them back as soon as we can, but also making sure that they're healthy and that they're ready and that, we're not doing any long-term damage. You look at Al, obviously he's coming back, and we want him to be healthy for next season too. So it's just trying to find that balance. I mean, we want to win every single game, so you're just antsy for him to get back. But that's also part of guys just stepping up and filling roles that they're capable of doing. It's just going to look a little bit different. Instead of Mike or Al going out there and throwing maybe 6 innings themselves, it might be 2 different pitchers that throw 6 innings combined, and we still get in the same position. But obviously we'd love to have them back as soon as we possibly can, but we also want to, make sure that, for the conference tournament we have them strong and ready to go as well.
It was a talking point last week, Coach Rhodes, going into the Belmont series where we were chatting up, and it was one of the areas of, look, maybe being down 11-1 and coming back, that sparks something within your team. Then you kind of get the news that you're going to be without some of your key stars for the weekend. I think there's a normal thing of, man, we haven't necessarily had the success on weekends in a while within the league. We're down starters. It's easy to think, what are we going to do? But sometimes that can really put your team in a position to really excel. And even though at times it may be stressful where you're as a coach trying to figure out the pieces, how can that really be a good thing for your club of you were really having somewhat your backs against the wall where you knew it was going to be on everybody that was in that dugout because of how long your injury list is right now, but you really were able to find out some big positives about your group.
Yeah, again, it's just you got to come together as a group. The dugout was great last weekend. Everybody was pulling for each other. Everybody knew they were going to be involved in the weekend, and so it was just a good team collective effort. And it's just an unfortunate situation that we've had this year with injuries. And every year you typically have an injury or two, or maybe you lose a key player. It's just this year I've never experienced the amount of key players that we've lost. I mean, right now, and we have 8 guys on the injured list, which is, that's just such a large number to have. And you take some of those 8 guys. With the leadership in some of those guys, the personality in some of those guys, obviously the athletic ability that some of those guys possess. Just as human beings, after a little while, it kind of like just wears on you. It wears on your team, it wears on the players, the coaches, because it's you're always that what if, man. What if we had this guy? What if we had him throwing? What if we had him playing? Whatever. And I think our players have done a good job of overcoming those injuries. And, I think that's where probably some of our losses have come with just some lack of depth at some times. And there's nobody more frustrated with the losses than our staff, our team, I can tell you that. But we also do have to look at it, from a realistic standpoint and understand that some of the losses that we have are just from a lack of depth at some of the games that we have.
Well, after the Western Illinois game, when Trey Cutchin got that walk-off hit, I brought up, man, don't forget about the defensive plays that he made. And you no doubt agree, but you're right, Luke, it was really good to see him get that hit and come through in a big moment. He was in another big moment for you in that first game Friday at Belmont. Gets the huge hit in the ninth. Of course, that was a game where you're down to your final out. You don't have anybody on the bases, and you're able to manufacture to come back and win. And Trey ultimately with the big hit in the inning to do it. How massive was it just to see him carry over from Western, the carry over into the weekend, and now it really seems like Trey is really having a hot bat for you.
Yeah, no, he's kind of a guy that he had some big moments for us throughout the year. I think too, not to overshadow it, but such a big hit by Bach. A lot of times when it's 2 up, 2 down, that third guy can just go up there and just giving it bat away. I mean, he doesn't do that. He shoots a hard ball through there. Heston Gray comes up right after that. He doesn't give his at bat away. He hits a hard ball through a hole. And then, Trey put it in probably the best spot that you could put a ball on that field, right in that corner, lefty hooking down in that corner. But obviously everybody, knows the Trey hit because that's the one that put the 2 runs on. But, it's just as big with what Bach did, what Gray did in order to get Trey with that opportunity. But there's also something that's to be said about Trey as far as stepping up there and getting it done. Having the ability to just will yourself to doing it. And, again, we're going to need some big moments like that this weekend. When you play teams that are as well coached and have as much talent as Indiana State has, we're going to have some players be clutch. And, whether that's some 2-out hits, somebody shoot a gap when there's a guy at first base, like there's going to have to be, some of those moments throughout the weekend in order for us to win.
Well, you brought up Jordan Bach. He was another guy that had an outstanding weekend, had an outstanding week. Where have you seen him continue to rise and be a guy that I know at times you're like, can count on him because he's definitely got a bat that you can rely on?
Yeah, he's a really good player. He's a really good hitter. I think he got off to a really good start, and kind of similar to a lot of junior college players. Like most of those players, they're here because they were really good junior college players, and they typically didn't struggle very much at the junior college level. And a lot of times you'll see some of those junior college players, when they fail a little bit at the Division I level, it kind of gets them down for a little bit because they've never experienced that before. And, that's we had talked to Jordan about that. Like, hey, you're facing more consistently good arms now than you did in junior college, where some of those, it's going to be a little bit harder to have, consistent, performances. But we can't just let this little bad streak that you're going last for a long time. Like, you got to mentally kind of just get over this a little bit and understand that, hey, I'm facing better competition. They're going to get me out a little more than I'm used to getting out. And it's, the quicker that he can kind of get over that hump, then you'll get back to performing well again. And he's kind of done that. I think he kind of had that little JUCO lull a little bit, and then hopefully now he's kind of over that and going to finish the year strong.
It's going to be the first time since 2019, a ranked Valley team comes in the Carbondale. A really good opportunity for your group this weekend against a really good team at Indiana State. Last year, the Sycamores, of course, only lost 3 conference games. They hosted a regional in Terre Haute. Right now, when you look at all the projections for the postseason, they're in position again, Coach Rhodes, to possibly host again for the second consecutive season. What impresses you just about Coach Hannes' team and how they've been able to really keep intact a lot of core pieces? I mean, going back to that 2022 series, Jared Spencer, Brennan Cutts. Brennan Cutts started a game in that 2022 series, and, of course, Spencer was a reliever at that time. There's a lot of familiar names that were on the roster in 2022 that you'll see much more improved this weekend.
Yeah, I think when you look at their team, it's very balanced. they're good because they lead our league in pitching, they lead our league in hitting, and they lead our league in defense. when you do those things, when you're the leader of all three of them, you're usually going to win a lot of games. But with that being said, I mean, there's we've matched up well against this team in the past. We didn't. They swept us at their place last year. We were in position to win the Friday night game. We make a throw-in error in the ninth inning that cost us the game. But I still feel like our team is a team that can win the series. And in baseball, all you got to do is play well, and you're going to be in a position to win. We're going to be at home. Hopefully we'll have a good crowd there. And, we just need to step up. I mean, we need to win a big series. We need to get on a roll to finish our season out strong, to put us in a position to have that bye in the conference tournament. And, I think our guys will be ready to play. I'll be shocked if we don't come out and play well or play excited. And, again, like we'll have to be at the top of our game. The starting pitching that they have is it's as good of a starting rotation as we'll probably see throughout our season. But again, it's going to probably be a unique weekend with the wind as well. The wind is going to be a big factor in the games, I would imagine, as far as making it tough on offenses to be able to score. It's probably also going to make fly balls a little tricky at times too, where something might drop where you don't expect it to drop, whether it's a misplay or it gets pushed around and things like that. So, there's going to be opportunities for us. We just got to make sure we capitalize on those opportunities.
When you think of so many names through the years that have been on that roster, Urdaneta, Diaz, Luis Hernandez, you go through, and even the new guys that have been added in recent years. I know Mike Sears was hurt in 2022, but a huge bat defensively. Adam Pottinger had a really good series last year in those 3 games in Terre Haute. Regardless of who's on the mound for you, what do you see as really important for that guy on the mound to try to navigate what's been a really good lineup for Indiana State and Coach Hannes?
Yeah, I think number one, we have to just understand that, even when you're talking about the teams that are ranked like Indiana State and where we're at, I mean, the difference is it's not like this much. We're talking the difference between those teams it's just here. It's probably a little bit of depth, which maybe they have us on some depth with our injuries and things like that. But at the same time, game by game, we got to be at the top of our game. We got to be into the game. We got to from start to finish. We can't ever take plays off. We can't take innings off. We can't take pitches off because the one thing that we do know is that they can put runs on the board quickly. And we're probably going to have to minimize the amount of runs that we give up. We're not going to be able to have one of those big innings and probably be able to make up that difference throughout the game. But our hope is that when we are playing a team like this, that our attention span is locked in. If we're not locked in this weekend, then we'll never be locked in. And but yeah, I mean they have a lot of experience. They've got a lot of college innings under their belt at whether it's our level, our tournament level, regional, super regional. So. We know what we're getting into, but, it's a great opportunity for our guys to go out and prove that, we can play against this team and that, we can win a series.
I think it's a great compliment to Indiana State when I say this comment to Coach Rhodes, but if you guys get hot and you can win that conference tournament and earn a bid to go to the postseason, you're going to have to beat a team like Indiana State to get to where you want to go. That's why this weekend's really important, because that's how good the team you're facing this weekend is these are the type of teams that are hosting, not just getting into the NCAA tournament. They are hosting in regionals to get to Omaha. That's why it's also a great gauge for your group, because if you get into the tournament, you earn your way into the tournament, you're going to have to go somewhere and beat a team like Indiana State.
Yeah, for sure. And, the other thing, too, is we're probably going to have to beat Indiana State in the tournament.
Yes.
Whether somebody else upsets them or we beat them, we're going to have to play we're probably going to have to play them again. And this will give us a great idea on who they are. Obviously a lot of our returners know. They played against them last season. We also have a lot of new faces that are going to be facing them for the first time. But, again, we want to put ourselves in a position, a lot of people, whether they have gotten swept or just won one game, if we win one game, we're going to kind of keep even with everybody in standings. If we are able to win the series, then we're going to gain a game on most people because they're not going to lose many series throughout the conference play. So, when you look at it from that standpoint, I mean, we have a chance to gain a game in the standings on pretty much every single team in our league this weekend if we go out and we win the series. So that would be big for us as far as getting that bye in order to be able to do that. So, we'll worry about winning the series after we win a game. And it starts on Friday as far as coming out and trying to, really get that first one.
Coach, it's one of these areas where I don't think even as a head coach you necessarily look at and notice, or even players, but for the last 5 seasons, season has ended by virtue of one of these teams. They've played each other in 4 of the last 5 tournaments, where the last game for that team was against an Indiana State or Southern. And you think of the history, too. Bob Warren, the longtime head coach at Indiana State, he was a Saluki. He played here for his undergrad years. He was on the College World Series team in 1968. And, of course, his relationship with Itchy Jones was really close. So there's been a lot of ties between these two programs. And as you said, probably going to see Indiana State. History, at least in recent years, has shown these two programs see a lot of each other when it gets to the conference tournament in May.
Yeah, and, you would probably know better than I, but as far as win-loss record, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it seems like we've always played really competitive games against each other, and I think that just goes to when both teams are on the field, they know it's going to be a good game, and, most of the time when you have, competitors that really want to win on the field and they know the opponents are good, they usually tend to make their play a little bit better. So I would expect the same thing this weekend. I'm sure they're going to be super competitive games. It'll probably come down to, a play here, a walk here, a hit by pitch, a free base, or, who can capitalize on when somebody gives you, a crack in the door, who can blow it open. And, so I know our guys are excited about it. I know we're ready to get it going, and hopefully we'll have a good weekend with, great weather and great fans.
And ending it Sunday night on national TV. It's rare one to have a Sunday night game for sure, but to be on national television, like that has to be just even get your juices going a little bit more too for the program.
Yeah, it's such a cool experience. I've been in college baseball for 16 years now and never, I don't even think I've heard of a Sunday night game, honestly. And so to be able to play a 6 o'clock Sunday night game is it's going to be a weird kind of feeling, waking up and having all day on Sunday to kind of wait around. But it's anytime I think you can get your team on national television, just to expose the program to everybody out there. Obviously, we'll have a lot of our recruits kind of tuning in to that. And, hopefully it's just kind of a cool experience for the fans to be able to come out on a Sunday evening. Kind of the weekend's winding down, and everybody's probably maybe they're all looking for something to do. So come on out and watch us play on Sunday night. Let's pack it out and have a good last game of the series.
Coach, it was so fun to watch last weekend in Nashville. I know it's going to be fun to watch this weekend. It's going to be great crowds, really competitive and fun games this weekend here in Carbondale. That's what you expect this time of year in the Missouri Valley Conference. Coach Rhodes, good luck this weekend. Looking forward to it.
Sounds good. Let's get it.